The Missing Parts of History by AlexandraSuominen. Chapter 3. Time Travel. Harry was in hell. That was it. There was no other explanation. One moment he had heard his godfather and best friend run towards him. The next he had woken up in a too-bright living room that for a moment he couldn't believe was Grimmauld Place. The next he was talking with a younger, more handsome, much more polite version of Sirius, who seemed to be his father. But as far as he knew, the man was dead. Well, maybe not dead, but Sirius certainly acted like he hadn't seen him in a very long time, so it was plausible. He groaned. At least the man didn't seem too mad about his unplanned breaking and entering. Though, was it that if he technically had already been in the house? Was this some kind of hallucination? Orion Black's version of the afterlife or whatever? What could he even say? Hey, I'm your son's godchild, and I think something in your hellhole of a house accidentally killed me because I was too angry to be bothered about my actions. Yeah, no. Orion Black, whatever, was acting very much alive. Thankfully, the calming draught was blocking his attempts at a breakdown. How about you start from the start, then? How were you in my house, undetected? Black asked, looking like he was having the time of his life. Look, I'm pretty sure I just died or whatever, and I'd rather you ask me what you want instead of talking in circles. And look, he knew he needed to control his temper, but this man was going to get on his nerves if he didn't cut it off now. Looking at the man, he saw him arching both his eyebrows. Well then, I want to know who you are, how you got here, why you think you were in my house when you weren't, why you think you died, and since we're at it, who I can send you to so you won't be my problem anymore. I think I deserve that much. He gaped, but answered as if in automatic. I'm Harry. I touched something I shouldn't have, as I told you. I know I was already here. You should be dead, so obviously I am too, and I have no idea about the last one. Now it was Black's turn to gape at him. He then stood up and started to pace, frowning. How? I don't understand. The wards. Why? He cut himself off, then focused on Harry again. Harry what? Surely you have a last name. Potter, he said grudgingly. Right, good to have confirmed that. Why do you think I should be dead? I'm far too young for that yet. Young? That wasn't possible. Sirius was born in 1960, more or less, and he said his father had gone to Hogwarts during Grindelwald's War, so that put him in the 40s. Orion Black had to have been at least 30 or close to that when he had his first child, right? Yes, young. Do not be rude just because I'm entertaining all of this. He blushed. He hadn't realized he had said that out loud. Anyways, not important. If Black was really younger than he should, then was Sirius not born? Wait, no, that would imply... And Hermione said more than a few hours was impossible. Surely it couldn't be. He looked around the room, trying to find differences from memory, but apart from the newfound light, it seemed like the house had been completely maintained. Well, there were less things, but he hadn't really taken notice of it, so he couldn't be sure. Would it be strange to ask the date? It's August 3rd, and yes, it's a bit strange. A pause. Please tell me you didn't time travel. He shrugged. What year is it? 1953. Right. Well, I'm glad neither of us are dead, he said, uncertain, but Black was looking at him like he was both amused and terribly annoyed. Was that even possible? Black sat down again, drank from his cup until it was empty. Pity it isn't fire whiskey. All right, let's summarize. If you traveled in time, which is highly unlikely, does that mean you were in this house in your own time? He nodded. This explanation made much more sense. He gulped. My godfather, I don't know, a Black. I was invited for the summer break. What's left of it, I mean. It was complicated. Well, color me impressed. What year are you from? He didn't know if it was okay to say that. Just what was he allowed to say? He didn't want to lie, but he couldn't just start telling people the future. It wasn't like he had all the information, either. Everyone was hell-bent in keeping him bloody ignorant at the time. Right, maybe not the safest thing to say. Is your godfather alive yet? He shook his head. So I assume neither are your parents? He shook his head again. Right. Can you tell me what was so complicated? In general terms, I don't need details. You sure? He received a nod, Black's molten silver eyes fully focused on him. War will come. There was a sudden stillness in the room. Harry found it difficult to breathe, but he didn't move, didn't waver. When? Harry pursed his lips. You have to understand, most of it happened before I was born. I don't know details or anything. That's all right. I don't need them. In the 70s, or at least it broke out then. I'm sure there were years of preparation and reasons and all. It ended, in a way, with my parents' murder, and well, the madman somehow didn't actually die from the magical backlash like everyone thought. He had just returned, 2 months ago? He sighed. It's a mess. It's been years, and people just don't want another war. We barely got out of Grindelwald's less than a decade ago. We really don't want another. Black chuckled, as if laughing was the only thing he could do by now. The tension in the room dissipated along with it. Are you all right? I don't think this whole ordeal is, good for anyone's psyche. I'm still trying to process. The calming draught helps. Thanks for that, by the way. No need. Creature, refill the cups. There was a pause, the house elf doing as he was told, and then leaving. You can add sugar this time. No more potion for you. Thank you. He would have said more, but Black was focused on his cup, not yet drinking, and he supposed that being told war was slowly coming to your country was not an easy thing to digest. They drank in silence. He was curious about the man, but he had more important things to worry about right now. Like how to get back to his own time without messing the whole timeline up. Merle and Hermione would know what to do, but he couldn't think past the fogginess in his brain yet. When the cups emptied again, and Black ordered a third refill for himself, the man asked another question. The occurrence when, you didn't say his name. I don't think it's safe. If something gets out... Right, madman, wasn't it? He nodded. Why should he have died by a magical backlash? What do you know about it? All I know is that my family, for some reason, was being targeted and went into hiding to protect me when I was born. My parents were young and trying their best to survive. He paused, trying to word things right. Some things would be very obviously pointed to him in 40 years' time. Hell, in 30 years. So he had to be careful. There was a traitor. He sold us out. And my parents got killed for it. After that, it's hard to know. Some thought a miracle had happened. Others that my parents had some kind of ultimate protection set up for me. His magic turned on himself, rebounded from me, apparently a 1-year-old baby, and there was a huge explosion. He was separated from his body, and everyone thought he died because of that. Well, your parents must have been incredibly talented people then. He smiled. Harry thought they were, and he had never been told otherwise. Even if he couldn't quite live up to them, didn't mean he couldn't be proud. His smile, he knew, was a bit sad and bitter. Ron had often told him so when it came up. His stomach started complaining, and he blushed profusely. Black only laughed, shaking his head. Creature, bring Harry, is it okay if I call you by name? He nodded. He didn't really care about formalities like that. Bring Harry some late lunch. Something light. Hey guys, Mel here. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed it, please like this video, and if you want to see more, consider subscribing. I look forward to bringing you the next chapter. Bye!